Yeah, so I'm just at that stage of business where we need to start hiring some salespeople or BDM, and I just really don't know where to start, mate. Any advice or best practices would be appreciated. We're tossing like, should we go full time, part time, casual, on commission, all that. So I just don't know where to start.
I mean, I think a good BDM wants an upside, right? A good BDM doesn't want a strict wage. They need to, they need to know that they're going to be looked after as a base, but they need to, they need to be able to earn a lot of money. And it's interesting because you can get a business development manager right now for 80 grand. They're likely to be terrible.
Yes.
Because a good business development manager knows what they're worth. And so what you need to do is build a system around a business development manager maybe earning, a basic wage of 60, 70, just picking random figures. But they need to be able to earn 150 to 200. And you need to be able to have built a model where they can sell enough to be able to go and earn that money, because you'll never attract the good people, right? It's like the Australian government, right? We pay such a poor amount of money to our leaders that we get the bad ones. Like, you don't want to go do that, right? Commonwealth Bank will pay, 10 million bucks to get a CEO, and Australia pays 400 grand, and we wonder why we get duds, right? You need, if you offer a good amount of money, you will attract. Now, I'm not suggesting that just by offering big money, you get the right people. This is the other side of the equation. But you've got to put your best foot forward. You've got to have built a model where they can earn lots and lots of money, right? That's like baseline number one. If you penny pinch, it's a disaster. The only way you can penny pinch and get it to work is to find someone who's really green, who's got the potential to be a good BDM, but hasn't got the runs on the board. Then you can probably pay them a base of 40, commission of 40, and grow them yourself. Right? That's obviously a cheaper way in the long term, but it's probably more expensive in the short term because you're not getting any revenue from that person for the first however many months it takes you to train them, right? So you can go cheap and green. I think the better model is keep saving until you can afford to get in the ring with the big boys and offer a lot of money to be able to get the best people. Now, I would even go so far as to say, when it comes to hiring BDMs, if you offer big money, only 1 in 3 are going to be any good.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared to kiss some ugly frogs to end up with the right one. I mean, I would love to say that it's not like that, but that's just my experience of life. There are so many people out there who are currently earning 42 grand selling mobile phones in a shop, who see an ad for 150 grand upside, and they're like, yeah, I'd be brilliant at that job with no runs on the board. So they'll apply. And they could potentially convince you they're good, right? So those people do slip through the net. Obviously, if they're a BDM and they've earned big money, then you should be able to go back to their references and find out if they're any good, right? There's no doubt about it. And they will be honest with you probably at somebody of that level. My summary is, like, BDMs are brilliant, right? Because, you can put somebody to build the engine for you. But too many people do it too early, which forces them to penny pinch, which means they get, they get the B grade players, and it never ends up cheaper in the long run. The people that I've seen that went, I'm going to give the big money, then they could afford to put them through a really hard process, and they ended up better.
So at what point would you know that you're ready? So you said, somebody going too early. At what point so does that mean that, if we save up to be able to afford someone 150, then we're ready, or at that tipping point? Or
no, okay. So I think there's two parts to that, which is a great question. First of all, it's the money. The second of all, there's the capacity, right? So if this person was to go and earn 150 grand, for example, just using round figures, how much money do they need to have sold of your services to earn that commission? Yeah. Have you got the structure around you to be able to handle that, or handle that growth? Remember, it doesn't come in, if they're going to get paid 150 grand to bring in $1 million, they don't do it in month 1. They bring it in over a year. So you've just got to make sure that you've got the capacity to handle that level of growth with somebody doing the work, all right? So yes or no on that, tick that box. If that's a yes, then I reckon, remember, they're 150 grand in year 1. They're getting paid commission on their sales, which means you're paying them out of the money you're about to get, so it doesn't cost you any money today. If their base is 70, that's only $6,000 a month. So you've got to work out at what point do I have $6,000 a month, and I probably need 3 months of their wages before they're going to start producing more money.
Yeah.
So it's now, okay, when have I got an 18,000 buffer? And then once you've got the 18,000 buffer, I'd be jumping straight away. In fact, if it were me and I wanted to grow faster, I'd probably wait until I had a 10,000 buffer, not 18, and jump early, and then just like sell like hell to make sure that I got them over the line. That's what I'd probably do, because I want to move a bit faster.
Okay. Great. And you wouldn't recommend going the young and green path, whereas I train someone up for 2-3 months with no expected results and just let them run with it?
It's a strategy. So I'm going to go with no if it's your first BDM. When you build a great business, right, and you're putting on more than one BDM, maybe you've got a team of 5, then you've got a system in place to be able to train the new ones, and you can bring the future ones in cheaper.
Right.
But for your first one, I think it's too risky because there's nothing telling you they're going to do a good job. It's only a hunch.